Okay, today we will do percentage story problems. The first thing that we'll do is just kind of some background material on definitions and conversions, and then we will worry about some of the other applications. Okay, what does per mean? If you think, I go 25 miles per hour, that maybe isn't the best example, but per in Webster's dictionary it means for each or for every. For example, miles per gallon, work days per week. We'd write that as miles divided by gallons or work days divided by weeks. In math, per means divide. So per cent, think about what cent means, is for every, and then cent means 100 or divided by 100. So 67% means 67 for every 100 or 67 divided by 100. Or 0.67. That is the most common way that we will write 67%. We will change it to 0.67. So my rule is to convert a percent to a fraction or a decimal. I take away the percent sign and I replace it with divide by 100. So for a decimal, this is the same thing as moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. The way I know to move to the left is that if I'm dividing by 100, I'm making my number smaller, so I have to move the decimal point to the left. So that's the definition. We'll do a few conversions. So to convert our percent or a fraction, or a percent to a fraction or a decimal, I replace the percent sign with divide by 100. So to convert these guys to a fraction, I'll take off the percent sign and just write divided by 100. So that's 30 divided by 100, and yes, you can skip straight to that step if you'd like. If I simplify, that's 3/10. Or 75 divided by 100. If I simplify, then that's 3/4. 3 3/4%. Well, remember, if I'm working with numbers mathematically, it's easier to do it as an improper fraction. So I take 3 3/4 and convert it to an improper fraction by 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Now divide it by 100. So that's 15 over 400, which simplifies to 3 over 80. 1/8 of a percent is just 1 over 800. That's how you convert a percent to a fraction, but that's almost never how we're actually going to do it. We are 9 times out of 10 going to convert it to a decimal instead. So let's look at those. To convert a percent to a decimal, I replace the percent sign with divide by 100, but remember with the decimal form, I'm just moving the decimal point. So 30%, right now the decimal point is after the 0. It's not actually written, but we know that it's there. So I move it 2 places to the left, and I get 0.30 or 0.3. 75% would become 0.75. I just moved the decimal point 2 places to the left. I know I'm going to the left because percent means divide by 100, and if I'm dividing by 100, I'm making the number smaller. 3.75%. Now how do I move it twice? There's only one digit to the left of the decimal point. I imagine that there is a 0 there, so it would be 0.0375. How about 0.125%? Okay, there's nothing before the decimal, so I put in 2 zeros, 0.00125. That's how I rewrite a percent as a decimal. So if I'm going to convert these percents to fractions, I put in divide by 100, make it an improper fraction. I get 5 over 200, which simplifies to 1 over 40. If I convert 25%, make it into a fraction, and simplify to 1/4. 0.25%, that would be 25 hundredths, taking the decimal and making it a fraction, and then taking the percent and making it a fraction, so that would be 1 over 400. Convert these percents to a decimal. 0.25 would be 0.025. Move the decimal point to the left twice because I'm making the number smaller. 25% would be 0.25. 0.25% would be 0.0025. And again, the very most common thing we'll be doing is the easiest one, which is converting to a decimal. So to convert a percent to a fraction or a decimal, we divide by 100. How do you think we convert a fraction or a decimal to a percent? So to convert a fraction or a decimal to a percent, we just multiply by 100 and add the percent sign. So we multiply by 100%. So to convert 0.05 to a percent, it would be 5%. Remember, since I'm multiplying by 100, I'm making the number bigger. What we did before is very easy until we introduce this concept. You need to remember when you're making the number bigger and when you're making the number smaller. If you're multiplying by 100%, then you're making the number bigger. If you're taking off the percent sign, you're making the number smaller. So if I convert 1.12, I multiply by 100%. Multiplying by 100 makes the number bigger, so it takes the decimal point and moves it 2 places to the right, so it's 112%. 0.003 becomes 0.3%. Multiplying by 100% makes my number bigger. 3 over 50 times 100% would be 6%. 50 goes into 100 twice. 3 times 2 is 6, and I have the percent sign. 9 halves times 100, 2 goes into 150 times, so I have 450%. 5/6 times 100 is 250 thirds percent. So to convert a fraction or a decimal, I multiply by 100%, but if I'm working with fractions, it's probably easier if I just convert it to a decimal first, because when we're working with percentages, we're almost always just going to be working with decimals. So 2/5 is really 0.4. You can get that using long division, remember in lecture number 2, or 1. Multiply by 100%, so it's 40%. 3/7 is 300 over 7%. 5/25 is 40%. Again, even though I didn't do it in the middle example, I'd recommend always converting it to a decimal first. Those are the conversions. We'll use the conversions quite a bit in the problems up ahead, so if you have any questions, please make sure you either go back and watch or figure out how to do the conversions.